Number one, the lie you were trained to worship. They told you that hard work is noble, that sweat is virtue, that exhaustion is proof you are on the right path. And you believed it because belief was cheaper than understanding, because it felt safe to think the world rewarded effort instead of strategy, and because admitting the truth would mean admitting you were trained, not taught. Listen carefully. Working hard does not make you powerful. It makes you useful. Power has never belonged to the most tired man in the room. Power belongs to the man who decides where effort flows, not the man who spills it blindly. You were raised to worship labor because laborers are predictable, compliant, and replaceable. Empires are not built by hands alone. They are built by minds that command hands. The system praises your discipline because disciplined workers don't ask dangerous questions. They wake early, obey deadlines, chase approval, and die with empty leverage. You were told that patience would save you, that loyalty would protect you, that consistency would elevate you. That is a child's myth dressed as morality. Machiavelli understood something modern men are afraid to admit. Virtue without power is decoration. If your work does not increase your leverage, it increases your dependence. If your effort does not move you closer to control, it moves you closer to exhaustion. Look around. The hardest workers are rarely the richest. They are the busiest. They are rewarded with more work, not more freedom. They are praised, not promoted. They are thanked, not feared. The world does not rise for those who suffer silently. It rises for those who position themselves correctly. You were trained to trade time for money because time is finite and money keeps you obedient. Power is built by owning outcomes, not hours. The man who controls access, decisions, narratives, or resources can afford to rest. The man who only controls his own effort must keep running or be discarded. This is not cruelty. This is structure. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Hard work is not evil. Blind hard work is. Effort without direction is servitude with extra steps. Today is not about quitting effort. It is about weaponizing it. Before you can become untouchable, you must first admit the uncomfortable truth. You were taught to work hard so someone else could work smart. And until that changes, your discipline will keep you poor, praised, and powerless. Number two, why the system rewards obedience, not intelligence. The system does not hate you. It simply has no use for your independence. And that is why it conditions you early to confuse obedience with virtue and productivity with worth. From the first day you were evaluated, you were measured on how well you followed instructions, not how well you question outcomes. Good students become good employees, and good employees become controlled assets. This is not accidental. A man who obeys rules without understanding power will enforce his own limits proudly. The system loves hard workers because hard workers are stable. They show up, they comply, they grind, they do not disrupt hierarchies. Intelligence, on the other hand, is dangerous when paired with ambition. Intelligence asks why rewards flow upward while effort flows downward. Intelligence notices patterns. Intelligence refuses to exhaust itself for applause. So intelligence must be softened, redirected, or drowned in busyness. That is why you are kept occupied. Meetings, deadlines, targets, noise. When a man is tired, he does not think strategically. When he is desperate, he does not negotiate. When he is grateful, he does not demand. This is the psychology of control. You are rewarded just enough to stay loyal, punished just enough to stay afraid. Promotions are dangled like carrots, not given like weapons. And even when you climb, you are often climbing inside a cage built by someone else. Machiavellian truth cuts deeper here. The system does not promote those who create the most value. It promotes those who protect existing power structures. If you make your superior look good, you rise. If you threaten his relevance, you stall. Hard work that exposes inefficiency is punished. Hard work that hides incompetence is rewarded. This is why the most competent man often reports to a less capable one. Power prefers loyalty over brilliance. Always has. This is not unfair. It is strategic. And until you accept that, you will keep trying to impress people who are invested in keeping you beneath them. The obedient man waits to be chosen. The powerful man positions himself to be unavoidable. Effort alone does not make you indispensable. Leverage does. You must understand where value concentrates, who controls distribution, and how decisions are actually made when no one is watching. Until then, your hard work will be used against you as proof that you can endure more. The system does not break strong men, it exploits patient ones. And if you remain only hardworking, never strategic, you will spend your life being useful to power instead of becoming it. Number 3, the fatal mistake of trading time for approval. One of the most dangerous trades you were taught to make is exchanging your time for approval, because approval feels like progress while quietly keeping you stationary. You were conditioned to chase validation from authority figures, managers, institutions, and audiences that do not share your long-term interests. Every extra hour you work without increasing your leverage teaches them the same lesson. You will give more without demanding more. That lesson becomes your reputation. Machiavelli would call this voluntary weakness. Power never rewards self-sacrifice unless it serves power's agenda. When you over-deliver for praise, you train others to undercompensate you. When you accept verbal recognition instead of structural advantage, you signal that you do not understand the game. Time is the most expensive currency you own, yet you were taught to spend it like loose change. The moment your value is measured in hours, you become interchangeable with anyone willing to work longer for less. This is why working harder often reduces your bargaining power. Scarcity creates value and endless availability destroys it. The man who is always reachable is never respected. The man who is always busy is rarely in control. Approval is a weak drug. It soothes the ego while draining the future. You stay late, answer instantly, volunteer endlessly, and tell yourself this is discipline. In reality, it is fear wearing the mask of ambition. Fear of being overlooked, fear of being replaced, fear of standing still. But power grows in silence, not in constant display. The strategic man withholds effort until effort buys him something tangible: influence, ownership, autonomy, or information. He does not burn himself to warm rooms he does not own. He understands that visibility without authority is exposure, not strength. This is why many hardworking men feel unseen despite being essential. They made themselves necessary but not irreplaceable. There is a difference. Necessary men maintain systems. Irreplaceable men control them. If you want to escape poverty of power, you must stop asking how hard you should work and start asking where your effort compounds. Does it increase your control over outcomes? Does it give you options? Does it reduce your dependence on a single gatekeeper? If the answer is no, then your time is being harvested, not invested. The world applauds sacrifice because sacrifice is easy to exploit. Power, however, respects restraint. The moment you stop trading time for approval, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability, when paired with competence, is the first signal that a man is no longer powerless. Number 4, why exhaustion is a feature, not a flaw. Exhaustion was never an accident. It is engineered, cultivated, and rewarded because a tired man is easy to manage. When your energy is gone, your vision narrows. You focus on survival, not strategy. You count hours, not leverage. You chase relief, not dominance. This is why the culture glorifies hustle while quietly stripping it of power. A man who is always busy has no time to map the terrain, identify weak points, or notice who actually pulls the strings. He mistakes motion for progress and burnout for honor. Machiavellian reality is colder. Fatigue is a leash. The more drained you are, the more grateful you become for crumbs. You accept bad terms because you lack the energy to negotiate better ones. You tolerate disrespect because confrontation costs more than compliance. You confuse resilience with submission. Meanwhile, those above you conserve strength. They delegate stress downward. They create urgency for others so they can think clearly. Power is calm because power is not rushing. This is why the most powerful decisions are made slowly, quietly, and without spectacle. The exhausted man believes rest must be earned. The powerful man understands rest is a weapon. He protects his clarity ruthlessly because clarity multiplies force. 1 hour of strategic thinking can outweigh months of blind effort. But strategy requires stillness, and stillness feels dangerous to a man trained to equate worth with motion. So you keep grinding. You stay visible. You answer everything. And in doing so, you signal that you are too busy to threaten anyone's position. Exhaustion turns sharp men into reliable tools. It dulls ambition and softens defiance. It replaces long-term planning with short-term relief. Coffee, noise, dopamine, distraction. Enough stimulation to keep you moving, never enough to make you free. This is not a conspiracy, it is incentive design. Systems reward output, not autonomy. They celebrate effort because effort can be measured and taxed. They avoid empowering rest because rest produces insight, and insight disrupts hierarchies. If you want to step out of poverty of power, you must stop glorifying depletion. You must learn to work in bursts that create asymmetry, not in marathons that create dependence. Guard your energy like capital. Spend it only where it buys you position, not praise. The moment you refuse to be constantly available, you force the world to adjust to you. An adjustment is the first quiet admission that you are no longer just working hard, you are working dangerously. Number 5, the difference between value creation and value capture. Most men are trained to create value, not to capture it, and this single distinction decides who stays poor and who becomes untouchable. Value creation is praised because it keeps systems alive. Value capture is feared because it redistributes power. You were taught to be proud of producing, fixing, building, and solving, but never taught to ask who owns what you build, who controls what you fix, or who profits from the problems you solve. Machiavelli would remind you that the man who creates value without securing control is merely feeding another man's empire. Hard work makes the pie larger. Power decides who eats it. This is why highly skilled, highly disciplined men often remain financially and politically weak. Their competence enriches structures they do not own. Meanwhile, less capable men rise because they position themselves closer to ownership, decision-making, or narrative control. They may contribute less, but they extract more. This is not corruption, it is hierarchy logic. The fatal mistake is believing fairness governs outcomes. Outcomes are governed by leverage. If you do not negotiate ownership, equity, authority, or exclusivity, your effort becomes a donation. And donations do not create power, they create dependency. The system encourages you to focus on excellence, because excellence without leverage is safe. Excellence threatens no one when it is fully absorbed by existing structures. This is why hard workers are often told to wait their turn. Waiting keeps you productive and powerless at the same time. Value capture requires friction. It requires saying no. It requires understanding where bottlenecks exist and positioning yourself at them. Control the gate and effort flows toward you. Control the narrative and credit follows you. Control the relationship and money has no choice but to negotiate. This is why entrepreneurs, deal makers, and power brokers can afford inefficiency while workers cannot. They sit where value concentrates. You were taught to perfect the craft, not to own the outcome. But ownership is what converts effort into freedom. Without it, your skill is a leash around your own neck. The moment you begin to ask, what do I own as a result of this work? Your mindset shifts from servant to strategist. You stop competing on effort and start competing on position. This is the turning point. Until your hard work ends in control, it will continue to end in exhaustion. Create value, yes, but if you do not also capture it, your discipline will only make someone else powerful while you remain respected, busy, and stuck. Number 6, why loyalty is used against you. Loyalty sounds noble, and that is precisely why it is such an effective weapon when turned against you. You were taught that staying faithful to a company, a leader, or a system would protect you. That commitment would be remembered, and that patience would eventually be rewarded. Machiavelli would have laughed at this fantasy. Power remembers usefulness, not devotion. Loyalty without leverage is not respected, it is exploited. The more loyal you are without alternatives, the safer it is to delay your advancement. Why rush to reward a man who has nowhere else to go? Your consistency becomes a cage. Your reliability becomes an excuse. Your silence becomes consent. This is the cold truth. Loyalty is only valuable when it is optional. When you can leave but choose to stay, your presence has weight. When you cannot leave, your loyalty is invisible. Systems do not repay sacrifice, they capitalize on it. They praise your dedication publicly while privately budgeting around your dependence. This is why loyal men are often shocked when they are replaced, sidelined, or discarded. They believed emotional contracts existed where only transactional ones were honored. Power does not run on feelings, it runs on incentives. And incentives shift the moment you stop being strategically necessary. The system will speak of betrayal when you seek better terms, even though it never promised you protection. That guilt is not moral, it is psychological control. It keeps you bound to sunk costs and past effort. Machiavellian thinking demands a harsher discipline. Never tie your identity to a structure that does not share your fate. Institutions survive by sacrificing individuals. Individuals survive by remaining mobile. Loyalty should be a negotiation tool, not a personality trait. The moment your loyalty is assumed, its price drops to zero. Powerful men understand this. They maintain alliances, not attachments. They deliver results, not blind devotion. And they always retain the ability to walk away. This ability changes how they are treated. Suddenly, promises appear. Concessions are offered. Respect materializes. Not because you worked harder, but because you became dangerous to lose. If you want to stop being poor in power, you must stop advertising loyalty and start demonstrating leverage. Build options. Cultivate alternatives. Make your absence costly. Then, and only then, does loyalty become a choice instead of a trap. And when loyalty is chosen freely, it finally carries the weight you were promised all along. Number 7. The illusion of merit and the reality of power. Merit is a comforting story told to those who need hope more than accuracy. You were taught that if you became good enough, disciplined enough, undeniable enough, the world would have no choice but to reward you. That belief keeps you compliant while power operates elsewhere. Machiavelli knew merit is tolerated only when it does not threaten hierarchy. The moment merit disrupts power, it is reframed as arrogance, impatience, or not a cultural fit. This is why the most capable men are often stalled while average men advance. Advancement is not a math equation, it is a political outcome. Power selects for alignment, not excellence. It rewards those who understand timing, alliances, and optics. Merit without political awareness is a liability because it exposes inefficiencies and embarrasses those above you. So it must be contained. This is why you are told to stay in your lane. Lanes are for traffic, not for rulers. The system praises merit publicly to keep effort flowing, while privately promoting those who protect the status quo. You feel betrayed because you believe the brochure, not the blueprint. Power does not deny merit, it subordinates it. Skill is a tool. Politics decides who wields it. When you work harder hoping merit will save you, you place your fate in the hands of people whose interests do not include your freedom. That is not ambition, it is surrender. The powerful man understands that merit is leverage only when paired with scarcity and positioning. He is excellent where excellence is rare, visible where visibility converts to authority, and silent where silence preserves optionality. He does not beg to be recognized. He engineers situations where recognition is unavoidable or irrelevant. He knows when to outperform and when to withhold. He understands that being right is less important than being necessary. This is why some men win arguments and lose careers, while others lose arguments and gain power. Merit alone cannot protect you from politics, but politics, when understood, can amplify merit into control. Stop asking whether your work is good enough. Start asking who benefits from you believing that goodness alone decides outcomes. When you accept that power adjudicates merit, not the other way around, you stop waiting to be discovered and start designing your ascent. That shift, quiet, ruthless, and precise, is where poverty of power finally begins to crack. Number 8, why being busy is a sign you don't matter yet. Busyness is often mistaken for importance, but in power dynamics, it usually signals the opposite. The man who matters sets priorities. The man who doesn't is given them. When your calendar is full of other people's urgencies, you are not in demand. You are being consumed. The system keeps you busy because busy men do not reorganize power. They react. They execute. They absorb chaos so those above them can remain composed. This is why high-status individuals often appear unhurried. Their value lies in judgment, not labor. They are paid to decide, not to rush. Machiavellian clarity reveals an uncomfortable truth. If you vanished tomorrow and the system barely slowed, your busyness was never leverage, it was camouflage. Being busy is a way to feel essential without being influential. It gives the ego activity while denying the mind control. You move constantly but go nowhere. Meetings multiply, tasks expand, and every new responsibility is framed as trust, even when it brings no authority. You accept it because refusing feels risky. But power grows where refusal is possible. The man who can say no without consequence has crossed an invisible threshold. He has become costly to ignore. Busyness also hides stagnation. It prevents you from stepping back and asking dangerous questions. Who benefits from my speed? What decisions am I never invited to make? Why does urgency always flow downward? The more you execute, the less you are consulted. This is not punishment, it is optimization. Systems optimize people into roles that extract maximum output with minimum disruption. The busy man is optimized for output. The powerful man is optimized for impact. Impact requires space to think, to observe, to negotiate. When your schedule leaves no room for silence, it leaves no room for strategy. This is why the first step toward power is reducing unnecessary motion. Cut tasks that do not compound. Decline responsibilities that offer visibility without authority. Create buffers, create absence. Absence forces reevaluation. When you are no longer instantly available, others must plan around you. Planning around you is a subtle acknowledgement of your rising gravity. Busyness feels productive, but it is often a polite form of irrelevance. Stillness, used deliberately, is far more threatening. When you stop being busy, you start being strategic, and strategy is the language power understands fluently. Number 9. The quiet discipline of becoming untouchable. Becoming untouchable does not require noise, rebellion, or dramatic exits. It requires a colder discipline that most men are unwilling to maintain. The untouchable man is not the loudest or the busiest. He is the least dependent. Dependence is the true poverty. As long as your survival, status, or identity relies on a single system, person, or income stream, you can be pressured, delayed, or replaced. Power senses this immediately. Machiavelli would tell you that freedom is not granted, it is engineered through optionality. You do not announce your independence, you construct it quietly. Skills that transfer, relationships that are not hierarchical, income that does not ask permission, information that others lack. The untouchable man still works, but his work is asymmetrical. Small inputs create disproportionate leverage. He chooses environments where his absence would create friction. He avoids roles where effort is invisible and rewards are capped. He studies incentives the way others study motivation. He knows who is trapped, who is ambitious, and who is afraid. He does not expose his full capacity. He reveals only what is necessary to maintain position while building exits in the background. This restraint is mistaken for humility, but it is calculation. He understands that power punishes transparency and rewards ambiguity. You become untouchable when consequences no longer flow one way. When you can impose cost, not just absorb it. When walking away hurts them more than it hurts you. This is why the path feels lonely. You stop oversharing. You stop seeking approval. You stop explaining your moves. Silence becomes armor. Patience becomes posture. You let others underestimate you because underestimation lowers resistance. The untouchable man is not fearless. He is prepared. He does not gamble on hope or fairness. He builds redundancy. If one door closes, 3 remain. This is the opposite of the hardworking man who pours everything into one path and calls it commitment. Commitment without options is fragility. Power respects only those who can endure loss without collapse. As you reduce your need to be chosen, you increase your ability to choose. That shift is subtle, internal, and irreversible. Once you taste that kind of leverage, returning to blind hard work feels like chains. You are no longer chasing power. You are quietly arranging the world so it cannot easily touch you. Number 10, the final lesson Machiavelli would leave you with. If Machiavelli were speaking to you now, he would not tell you to stop working, and he would not glorify laziness or entitlement. He would tell you that effort is only virtuous when it serves power and suicidal when it serves illusion. The final lesson is simple and brutal. The world does not reward what you deserve, it rewards what you control. Hard work is a tool, not a strategy. Used blindly, it chains you to systems that profit from your obedience. Used selectively, it becomes a lever that shifts outcomes in your favor. You were never meant to suffer your way into freedom. You were meant to think your way there. Power is not built through martyrdom. It is built through positioning, patience, and an understanding of human nature that is colder than comfort, but warmer than false hope. Stop trying to be admired. Admiration is cheap and fleeting. Start trying to be unavoidable. Unavoidability changes conversations, contracts, and hierarchies. When your presence alters outcomes, respect follows without being requested. This is why the most dangerous men appear calm. They are not rushing because they are not chasing. They are choosing. They understand timing. They understand leverage. They understand when to apply force and when to let others exhaust themselves. This is the difference between effort that drains you and effort that defends you. You now know why endless hard work kept you poor and powerless. It trained you to give without securing control, to stay loyal without options, to stay busy without influence, and to wait for merit to be recognized in a world governed by power. What you do with this knowledge is the real test. You can return to the comfort of the grind, or you can adopt the discipline of strategy. One path earns praise. The other earns freedom. If this message sharpened your thinking, unsettled your assumptions, or exposed a truth you were not ready to hear, then you already know what to do next. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay close because the next lesson is for men who are done being useful and ready to become untouchable.